Welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're diving into something I think we've all experienced, but maybe haven't fully understood. The role of emotions in sales. We've got how to use emotion to sell, the ultimate guide. And it's going to help us unpack this, so
Awesome.
ready to get a little sneaky with our brains?
Absolutely. Let's dive in.
So the source, right off the bat, makes a pretty bold claim. A whopping 95% of our buying decisions are fueled by emotions, and not necessarily the ones that we're even aware of. I mean, we all like to think we're making rational choices.
Right.
Yeah, we tend to overestimate how logical we are, especially when it comes to spending money. The thing is, emotions are incredibly powerful drivers of behavior. Think about it this way. If you're evaluating a new software platform for your team, the emotional impact might outweigh the specific features.
So it's less about that long list of bells and whistles and more about how the software makes you and your team feel. Exactly. If it reduces stress, boosts collaboration, or even just looks visually appealing, those emotional responses can tip the scales more than the technical specs.
That makes a lot of sense. The source then breaks down specific emotions, like fear, desire, trust, and joy, and how they're used in selling. I guess it's not just about making people feel good. It's about strategically choosing the right emotion for the right audience.
Right, and let's take fear, for instance. It's a powerful motivator, but you have to use it ethically. Think about security systems. They often play on our fear of the unknown, of potential danger, to convince us we need their product for safety and peace of mind.
I see that all the time, but I never really thought about it that way. So to use these emotional levers effectively, you really need to know your audience, what makes them tick.
Absolutely. That's a fundamental principle of marketing and selling. If you understand your target market's pain points, aspirations, and values, you can tailor your message to resonate with them on an emotional level.
Okay, so say I'm selling fitness products. I could tap into people's desire for confidence, maybe even play on their fear of health issues. But how do I actually do that?
That's where the concept of emotional triggers comes in. These are specific words, images, or even sounds that evoke a particular emotion in the audience. Think about those before and after photos for weight loss products. They're designed to trigger feelings of hope, inspiration, and maybe even a little bit of envy.
Oh yeah, like they're planting the seed. If they can achieve this transformation, so can I.
Precisely. And that ties directly to the power of storytelling. The source emphasizes that a well-crafted narrative can bring a product to life, making it less about a sales pitch and more about a personal journey.
It's about showing, not just telling, right? Like instead of saying this software saves you time, tell the story of a frazzled professional who finally finds work-life balance because of it.
That's a great example. But it's not just about anecdotal evidence. The source actually provides a simple storytelling framework you can use, called problem, solution, result. You start by presenting a relatable problem your audience faces, then position your product or service as the solution, and finally, showcase the positive results they can achieve.
So instead of overwhelming people with features and data, you're giving them a story they can connect with emotionally. That makes a lot of sense. But wouldn't any old story do?
Not quite. You need to choose a narrative that aligns with the specific emotions you're trying to evoke and your target audience's values. If you're selling luxury cars, for instance, you might focus on stories of success, achievement, and exclusivity.
Okay, so the story needs to match the brand and the emotional tone you're going for. The source also talks about the power of language and visuals. Is it really that simple?
Well, maybe not simple, but words and images definitely carry emotional weight. Think about words like imagine or opportunity. They spark something in us, prompting us to envision a desired outcome.
Yeah, and visuals can pack an even bigger punch. I'm thinking about those travel ads with stunning landscapes and smiling families. Pure escapism and happiness rolled into one image.
Exactly. Visuals create an immediate emotional connection that words sometimes struggle to achieve.
This is all starting to click for me. But there's another point the source makes that I found really interesting, this idea of belonging, that we're hardwired to want to be part of something bigger than ourselves.
That's a key insight into human psychology, and savvy marketers use it to their advantage. Think about brands that build a whole lifestyle around their products. You're not just buying a yoga mat, you're joining a community of wellness enthusiasts who share your values.
It's like that old saying, birds of a feather flock together. We're drawn to people and products that reflect our own identities and aspirations.
Precisely. And it goes beyond just belonging to a specific group. It taps into even deeper, more universal desires. Love, security, happiness, even the fear of missing out. Or FOMO, as we call it these days.
Oh, FOMO is definitely real. I'm the queen of those limited time offer impulse buys. I can't help myself.
We've all been there. The point is that understanding these core human desires gives you a powerful toolkit for crafting persuasive messages, whether you're appealing to someone's desire for connection or that primal fear of missing out. You're speaking directly to their emotional core.
So it's about knowing which buttons to push, so to speak. But the source is careful to emphasize that this is not about manipulation, it's about authenticity.
You're right to bring that up. There's a fine line between ethical persuasion and outright manipulation. People can spot a Sony a mile away. Genuine connection, built on trust and shared values, is far more powerful than any slick marketing trick.
So how do we strike that balance? How do we use emotion in a way that feels authentic and not manipulative?
That's a great question, and I think a good place to start is by examining real-world examples. The source actually uses the furniture industry to illustrate the difference between an emotional approach and a purely factual one.
Oh, that sounds interesting. Let's dive into that.
Absolutely. Let's see how emotion can transform a simple product description into something much more compelling. So the source presents two different ways to describe a sofa. In the first example, they focus on the emotional experience. Imagine sinking into the plush cushions after a long day, the stress melting away. They paint a picture of comfort, relaxation, even a sense of escape from the daily grind.
Okay, yeah, I can already feel myself getting cozy just hearing that. But what about the second approach?
The second description sticks to the facts. They talk about the sofa's dimensions, the type of fabric, the durability of the frame. All useful information, sure. But it doesn't exactly spark any feelings.
It's like reading a technical manual versus a lifestyle magazine. One speaks to your head, the other to your heart.
Exactly. And while both approaches have their place, the emotional one is far more likely to resonate with potential buyers.
This reminds me of something else the source mentioned, social proof. They highlighted how powerful it is to use real examples. Like, see how Sarah lost 20 pounds in just 3 months?
That's a perfect example of social proof in action. It taps into our natural tendency to follow the crowd. If Sarah can do it, maybe we can too.
But why does that work so well? Is it just about fitting in?
It's more than just fitting in. It's about reducing risk and uncertainty. When we see others having success with a product or service, it gives us more confidence that it might work for us too. It takes away some of the guesswork.
So it's like a shortcut for our brains. We see others validating a choice, and we're more likely to jump on board.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be as dramatic as a weight loss transformation. Testimonials, online reviews, even just seeing that a product has thousands of five-star ratings. It all contributes to that sense of social proof.
This is all fascinating stuff, but it also makes me wonder if I'm being manipulated by these tactics all the time without even realizing it.
That's a valid concern.
Yeah.
And it highlights why it's so important to be aware of these emotional levers.
Hmm.
Once you understand how they work, you can start to make more conscious, informed decisions as a consumer.
So it's about recognizing when our emotions are driving the bus, so to speak. Are we buying something because we genuinely need it, or because we're being swayed by clever marketing?
Precisely. And that awareness can help you become a more discerning consumer. On the flip side, if you're the one doing the selling, this knowledge can help you connect with your audience on a deeper level.
So instead of bombarding people with facts and features, we should be crafting compelling stories, using evocative language, and showcasing social proof.
You got it. It's about creating an emotional connection that resonates with your audience, not just delivering a sales pitch.
And the key is authenticity, right? People can sniff out a phony a mile away.
Absolutely. Genuine connection, built on trust and shared values, is far more powerful than any slick marketing trick. It's about building relationships, not just closing deals.
This all makes perfect sense, but let's get even more practical. What are some concrete steps our listener can take to apply these insights in their own lives?
Well, let's start with self-awareness. The next time you're considering a purchase, big or small, take a moment to pause and ask yourself, what emotions are driving this decision? Am I feeling pressured, excited, anxious about missing out?
That's a great tip. It's like hitting the pause button on autopilot and becoming more mindful of our motivations.
Right. And if you're in a sales or marketing role, think about how you can apply these principles to your work. How can you craft stories that resonate with your audience's aspirations and pain points?
And what about using language and visuals more strategically? The source gave some great examples of how certain words and images can evoke specific emotions.
Absolutely. Words like imagine, discover, or transform can spark curiosity and excitement, and visuals, especially those that feature real people experiencing positive emotions, can create a strong connection with your audience.
It's like we're tapping into the power of suggestion, guiding people towards a desired feeling or outcome.
Precisely. But always remember the importance of ethics and authenticity. Never use these techniques to mislead or manipulate.
It's about empowering people to make informed decisions, not exploiting their emotions for profit.
Exactly. Ultimately, building trust and genuine connection should always be the goal. That's what leads to lasting relationships and sustainable success.
This deep dive has really opened my eyes to the power of emotion in every aspect of our lives. It's not just about buying and selling, it's about understanding how our feelings shape our perceptions, decisions, and interactions with the world around us.
You're absolutely right, and it's an ongoing journey of discovery. The more we understand about our own emotions and those of others, the better equipped we are to navigate the complexities of human connection.
So as we wrap up, what's one key takeaway you want our listener to walk away with? What's the most important thing to remember about emotion and its role in our lives?
I think, the biggest takeaway for me is that emotions are not the enemy. We often try to suppress them or pretend they don't exist,
Yeah.
but they're a fundamental part of who we are.
Yeah, I completely agree. Emotions are not inherently good or bad. They're simply signals, like pieces of information, that can guide us if we learn to listen to them.
Right.
It's like they're trying to tell us something, but we're not always fluent in their language. This deep dive has definitely given me a new appreciation for emotional intelligence, both in myself and in others.
And that's a crucial point. Emotional intelligence is the ability to understand and manage our own emotions,
Uh-huh.
as well as recognize and empathize with the emotions of others.
So it's not just about being in touch with our own feelings, it's about being attuned to how others are feeling.
Exactly. And that can be incredibly valuable in any area of life, from personal relationships to professional negotiations, to simply navigating everyday interactions.
This makes me think about those times when I've regretted a purchase. Maybe I bought something on impulse, or I let a pushy salesperson talk me into something I didn't really need. Looking back, I can almost always pinpoint the specific emotion that led me to make that decision.
It's like we have these emotional blind spots. And sometimes we make choices that don't align with our best interests. But the more we practice self-awareness, the better we get at recognizing those patterns and making more conscious choices.
It's like we're training our brains to become more emotionally savvy.
Precisely. And it's a skill that can be developed over time. The more you pay attention to your own emotional responses and those of others, the more intuitive it becomes.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listener with a challenge. Think back to a recent interaction where you felt strongly about something. Maybe a purchase you made, a conversation you had, or even just an advertisement that caught your attention. Now try to dissect the emotional dynamics at play. What emotions were you feeling? What emotions was the other person or the message trying to evoke?
That's a great exercise. By analyzing those situations, you can start to identify your own emotional triggers and develop strategies for managing them more effectively.
And remember, this isn't just about becoming a smarter consumer or a more persuasive salesperson. It's about building stronger, more authentic connections with the people around us.
You said it. Emotional intelligence is the key to unlocking deeper understanding, empathy, and compassion. And in a world that often feels increasingly divided, that's a skill worth cultivating.
Absolutely. If this deep dive has sparked any aha moments for you, we'd love to hear about it. Share your thoughts and experiences on social media using #TheDeepDive. And as always, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep into the fascinating world around you.